What if I told you that Venus, Earth's so-called sister planet, is actually more like Earth's evil twin? Imagine stepping out of your spaceship onto a world where the air would crush you flat, the heat would melt lead, and it literally rains acid. So, what would happen if you landed on Venus? Stay tuned, because today we're diving straight into one of the most extreme places in our solar system, and you wouldn't survive long to tell the tale. Let's find out just how long you could last, and what exactly would happen to your body, your spacecraft, and your surroundings if you dared to land on Venus. Our journey begins about 38 million kilometers away from Earth. As your ship approaches Venus, you notice something strange. A thick yellowish cloud layer completely obscures the surface. Unlike Mars, you can't see any ground at all. That's because Venus is wrapped in a suffocating blanket of carbon dioxide and sulfuric acid clouds, a global smog that's 90 times denser than Earth's atmosphere. As you start your descent, temperatures outside your ship skyrocket to over 470 degrees Celsius. That's hotter than the surface of Mercury. Even though Venus is farther from the Sun, the pressure rises too, equivalent to being 900 meters underwater on Earth. If your ship isn't reinforced like a deep-sea submersible, it's already starting to crumple. Let's say somehow you make it to the surface. You land with a heavy thud on a dusty orange plain dotted with volcanic rocks. There's no wind, no sound, just an eerie, dense silence. You take a breath, or try to, but the air here isn't breathable. It's made almost entirely of carbon dioxide, with thick clouds of sulfuric acid drifting above. Without a pressurized suit and a constant oxygen supply, you'd suffocate almost instantly. Even if you had the best spacesuit NASA could make, it wouldn't last long. Within seconds, the 470-degree C heat would melt your helmet's visor, fry your electronics, and start burning through the outer layers of your suit. Your oxygen tanks would rupture, and before you could take another step, your entire body would be vaporized in seconds. Total survival time in maybe 2 seconds. So if humans can't survive, could a spacecraft? Surprisingly, we've tried, and barely succeeded. Between the 1960s and 1980s, the Soviet Union sent a series of probes called Venera. These were some of the toughest machines ever built, and even they only survived between 23 minutes and 2 hours before being completely destroyed by the planet's extreme environment. The Venera landers were built like titanium submarines, designed to withstand immense pressure and heat. But even then, their instruments failed one by one as the electronics fried and the metal casing softened. These are the only photos we've ever gotten from the surface of Venus, captured just before the spacecraft melted. So yeah, landing on Venus. Not exactly a vacation spot. But here's the real mystery. Venus is almost the same size, mass, and composition as Earth. So how did it turn into such a nightmare world? Billions of years ago, Venus may have been more Earth-like, with oceans, clouds, and maybe even a mild climate. But something went horribly wrong. As volcanic eruptions released carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, the planet began to trap more heat from the sun. That heat caused the oceans to evaporate, and water vapor, a powerful greenhouse gas, made things even hotter. This runaway greenhouse effect spiraled out of control, boiling away all the oceans, and leaving behind an atmosphere of suffocating carbon dioxide and acid clouds. Now, Venus's surface bakes at nearly 900 degrees day and night, with no escape for the trapped heat. The planet is a warning of what happens when a greenhouse effect goes unchecked, a terrifying mirror of what could, in theory, happen to Earth if our atmosphere went rogue. If the heat and pressure weren't enough, Venus has some of the strangest weather in the entire solar system. At high altitudes, hurricane-force winds circle the planet at 350 kilometers per hour. Yet at the surface, the air is so dense it barely moves. There's lightning, thunder, and a constant drizzle of sulfuric acid rain. But here's the weird part. The rain evaporates before it ever hits the ground. So it rains, but the surface never gets wet. That's right. Venus has acid rain that never touches Venus. And because the planet rotates so slowly, one Venusian day lasts 243 Earth days. The sun rises in the west and sets in the east. In fact, a single day on Venus is longer than its entire year. Yeah, time itself feels broken here. So if Venus is that dangerous, why do scientists still dream of exploring it? Because despite its hellish conditions, Venus might still hold secrets about Earth's past, and maybe its future. NASA and other space agencies are planning missions like Veritas, Da Vinci Plus, and Envision, which aim to study Venus's surface and atmosphere in unprecedented detail. There's even talk of building floating cities high above the clouds, where the pressure and temperature are actually similar to Earth's. At about 50 kilometers above the surface, Venus's atmosphere is surprisingly mild, around 75 degrees, with breathable pressure. Scientists believe that future missions could one day send airships or drones to explore this sweet spot, hovering safely above the deadly surface below. So what would happen if you landed on Venus? You'd be crushed, burned, and dissolved, all in a matter of seconds. But the story of Venus is more than just a tale of destruction. It's a glimpse into a world that went catastrophically wrong. A real-life warning about the power of climate and atmosphere. Venus shows us that two planets can start almost identical and end up completely different. And that's why scientists keep looking back to this deadly world, not just to understand it, but to understand ourselves. So next time you look up at that bright evening star in the sky, remember, it's not a beacon of beauty. It's a reminder of what happens when a planet turns into a furnace. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this trip to the most dangerous planet in our solar system, hit that like button, subscribe for more what-if deep dives, and let me know in the comments, which planet should we explore next? Mercury's blazing surface or Neptune's frozen storms? Until next time, stay curious and keep looking up.